So we are on our way up to Canada to deliver the wheelchairs to Bruce Cook. And as you can see by the blown engine in my old Dodge car here, it's not off to a good start. I know it's going to be hard to see with this camera right here, but right up in there, that is the connecting rod through the side of the oil pan. I also realized the truck went by right as I said that, and you probably couldn't hear, but that was a connecting rod through the side of the oil pan. And here's a nice picture I'll put there I took with my phone where you can see it a little better. Not good. So we're up near Ellensburg, Washington. It's actually over on the other side of the hill right here, which is very, very close to where I actually bought this car from, drove it home, and I put a few thousand miles on it since then. So the plan now is, I think, we're still working out the options, but for now, I think it is Ben is going to haul my black pickup up here on his truck and trailer. We're going to unload it, hook that trailer with the wheelchairs on it to the back of my pickup so I can keep going, and he's going to haul this back to his house or my house, probably just his house for now, and then I'll get it when I come back. So yeah, anyway, for now, I think Ben is headed up. The other option was Nate offered to come up and pick me up and either tow me back home or tow one of my other vehicles up here. And then the third option, which would have been the most fun and the best for video really, was Bruce Cook offered to drive all the way down from Canada, hook all this up onto the back of his trailer, tow me all the way back up to his place, and then we try to find a motor and swap it in his driveway or in his shop, whatever, and then I drive the car back home when it's time to head home. That's the one I kind of wanted to do the most, but I also have some other commitments in Canada I need to make sure I can make it to and have the transportation to make it to. So the safe bet is have Ben haul my pickup up, and then I've got my pickup to do what I need to do with, and then we rebuild the motor in this when we get home. And then also, we're still like 6.5 hours away from where Bruce is in Canada, so that'd be a 12-hour round trip at least, probably closer to 13 for him to come down and get me and go back up. Still a long drive for Ben, but it's much shorter than that. He's going to have about an 8-hour round trip. So, yeah. The tow truck guy is broken down. It's going to be a long day. So it's a couple hours later, still sitting here on the side of the road. It is 92 and noisy with the real feel of 101. And I can't run the AC, you know, because there's like a hole through the side of the engine. So there's that. It's gotten hotter. We're up to 99, but Ben should be about 15 minutes out. Keep looking up there because that's where my mirror is to see who's coming back there. But he should be here in about 15 minutes. Instead of unloading and reloading and hooking and unhooking trailers and all that on this hill that we're on, since we're a mile from the viewpoint, I think we're just going to hook up a Yankum rope to the back of his trailer, me up to the viewpoint. We can do all that in the parking lot. It'll be much safer than sitting here on the side of the road is one thing. It's not ideal, but it's not bad. But to be shuffling trailers and trucks and all that stuff around, super not ideal. So we'll just tow it up to the viewpoint and do our swapping there. My savior is here. Let's go. Let's get off the side of this road. Oh, the car's moving again on the bright side. Not how I really want it to be moving, but it's moving. It'd be nice if the AC was working, but that's a no-go. Yankum Ropes saves the day again. So I just hope when we come to stop up here, he remembers that I don't have power brakes. I don't have much brakes at all, actually. Oh, and this is a downhill. That's cool. This is not fun going downhill trying to not rear end my truck with my car and no brakes. I don't even have like a parking brake in this car to use to help. We're almost there. Almost there. Finally. Now we still have to do like all the other stuff. Oh no! You blow a hub?
I don't know. It's leaking.
I got a temp gun, hold on.
It's not horrible.
130, that's fine.
I think it just lost.
This one's 138.
So it lost the seal.
You just greased it too much, it's fine. Or is that an oil bath?
I don't know, it's brand new. I didn't do anything to it.
Well, it's not hot and you're gonna be a hell of a lot lighter on the trip home, so you're good.
Only like 6,500 pounds difference.
Yeah. Oh, I owe you big time.
Well, I wish that somebody could have given us a rolling shot of the last 1 mile.
Yeah.
Because that was probably the best shot of the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole trip.
The whole trip will be the best shot.
Okay, say that part again because it made me feel better.
Okay, so the road that Casey's been on for the last 20 miles or so has just been this constant grade. Now it's not like our grades, it's not 7 or 8%, it's like 4. But it's like non-stop, and it's what, 100 degrees outside right now?
Yes.
So in the last 30 minutes...
It was only like 80 when I broke down.
Yeah, but it's 100 right now.
Yeah.
Which is about my story, back to me, not you.
Okay.
So, in the last 20 minutes coming up all these hills, no joke, there's no less than 8 trucks with campers behind them pulled over on the side of the road with the hoods up, and all the families are out with like steam, and every single one of them is overheating.
So it's not just me.
No, there's no less than 8 trucks and campers in the last 20 miles.
Well, my engine I looked at a little more while I was waiting. So I showed them already there's a hole in the oil pan on the other side.
Okay.
But there's also a hole in the oil pan on this side, and the block is broke right down the side of it.
Which is really good for you because you like to keep things symmetrical.
Yeah. So I should, no, the block's only broke on one side. Let me start it back up, see if it'll take the other out.
Oh, it'll still run? Ish.
Yeah, it'll run.
It sounds actually more powerful now than it did before.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's got a bigger bore and stroke in it or something.
Rod's hanging out both sides of the oil pan, broke the block in half, and it still runs.
Yeah.
It's not happy,
Nate will fix it.
but it still runs.
Okay, so for the spirit of it, we're gonna drive it.
I don't think it's gonna make it.
Well, get it to where we can hook the winch on.
What are we gonna do? Break the motor? It's got no throttle.
Well, that's as far as you need to go right there. Okay, do you want this one now?
Yeah. It made it to the trailer. It drove to the trailer.
Yeah. And it would make it on the trailer if it didn't have to go uphill.
No, as soon as you try to put any load on it, it's done. Yeah.
Zero power.
Hey, I got an idea. Let me shuffle all my stuff back and forth before we put it up on the trailer.
Pull your ramp up next to it.
Yeah. Hey, it matches your trailer.
I planted that.
Yeah. Okay, now since we're going to Canada, and I didn't prep this truck to go to Canada, let me check all the little cubbies and stuff and make sure there's not like boxes of ammunition and stuff in here like there normally is. I know there's nothing I can't have in that car because I prepped that car for this trip, but I was not planning on taking this truck to Canada, so just gonna make sure we're not gonna get ourselves in any trouble here. No, I think we're good.
Whatever else is coming out of there.
Yeah.
Lucas additive, miracle fluids, you know, Marvel
Yeah,
mystery oil.
yeah, all the stuff that was dumped in there to make it last until it's sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make it run good until it's sold.
That'll coat the trailer on the way
Yeah.
home. So.
Yeah, every oh shit additive to make it seem like it was running good with oil pressure before I bought it.
Engine in a bottle.
Yep.
It's in there.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to Canada. There it goes. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. It has been a very long day. I was supposed to be to my destination in Canada 3 hours ago, and now I am still 6 hours away. It is going to be a long day, but check out the view from up here at the viewpoint. When the car started making funny noises and not being super cool, I was hoping I would make it to this viewpoint, but I broke down a mile short of it. It would have been so much nicer to sit here looking at this than back there on the side of the road, trucks flying by. So either way, continue. We've got cool stuff to do. Here's where Ben turns around and goes 300 miles back home. I owe him big time. So it's the next day, and I'm at the Canadian border. It is not going well. Last night, after all the delays, I didn't even make it up here before I was too tired. Got a hotel at like 9 o'clock last night. Started out this morning, headed up here, and now I am held up at the border, and they are very not happy about these. They're trying to claim that they're medical devices, and therefore I cannot bring them into Canada without a medical device distributor's license, or medical distributor's equipment license. Which obviously I don't have, and I can't get because now it's a weekend, so it's not that. Then I tried saying these are not a medical device, they are not a wheelchair. It's literally the name of the company, not a wheelchair. They're off-road electric e-bikes. Well, that's not flying because now they've reclassified them as low-speed vehicles and say there's only 2 manufacturers in the world who are allowed to import low-speed vehicles into the country of Canada, and I'm obviously not one of them. Neither is not a wheelchair, supposedly. So the other issue is the trailer I'm hauling them on I bought 2 weeks ago. So I have all the sales paperwork, manufacturer certificate of origin, all the stuff, and that's not good enough for them either because it's not registered and doesn't have a license plate on it. So now I'm kind of hung up on that. So they're not friendly at this place where I'm at this customs thing. Like, they're not being nice about any of it. They currently have my ID, my passport, and my registration, and I've been here for 30, going on 40 minutes. So it's not looking good. Well, even the border defeated, they detained me there. They took all my license, my passport, my registrations, everything, and did like a whole investigation on this whole thing. And I wasn't so sure I wasn't going to get arrested there or get all this stuff confiscated because they said that was a chance. One of the big problems they had where they said they could take me in on it and arrest me for is crossing an international border without a valid US passport. I have a passport, but this is the first time I've used this particular passport since I got it renewed, and I forgot to sign it, meaning it's not valid. And so I was like, okay, well, you want to hand it back to me? I got a pen right here, I'll sign it. And he goes, nope, you already crossed the border without a valid US passport, or valid passport. And then he went on the whole list of how I could be arrested for that and all this stuff. And like, all this could be confiscated since the trailer doesn't have registration on it because it's brand new. Even though I have all the freaking paperwork, they could confiscate that and keep it. Since the rigs on the back are not any classification that they can figure, they could confiscate those. It was a mess. I'm incredibly disappointed and upset that these are not up there helping people like they freaking should be right now, the whole point of this thing. But I'm also very glad that it didn't get confiscated and we still have them to use and find another way. So we are gonna do this, and we're gonna figure it out. I deleted what I just said because if some Canadian border guard saw what I just said, I'm never getting back into Canada. So we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure out how to do it the correct way. We're gonna get these things up there. We're going to make this happen. It's just not gonna be today, and I am not happy about that. But like I said, US Customs guys there coming back through, they were just shaking their head in disbelief that we got that, you know, thrown at us like that. And they're like, that's ridiculous, that's uncalled for. They were super cool. So they've made me leaving that place feel just a little bit better. So thank you guys. But I'm not happy, but at least there's a good view out here and it's a nice day. So now I gotta drive, shit, 7 hours, 8 hours back home after all of this. Yeah, 8-hour drive back home after spending 2 days up here. Blew the motor in my car. Have these wheelchairs I gotta do something with. Not a wheelchair. The rigs I gotta do something with. No good deed goes unpunished. But we'll figure out how to make this good deed happen. I promise you that. So it is the next day, and we're at Ben's house to pick up the car so I can take it back home and start on a plan for that. A lot more happened yesterday that wasn't filmed because I did not have access to my camera and couldn't film it. We're gonna get into what happened and a little mistake I made at the border when I tried again in a minute here. But first we're gonna pick up the car, we're gonna get it back home, we're gonna go over what all went wrong with the car and then what happened at the border that led to me being detained and in custody for a bit, and then what the plan is from here as of now. So we're gonna get this thing loaded up. Why are you washing your trailer?
Because it took a bath and bloody motor oil and ATF and coolant.
Gee, how'd that happen?
Something about driving halfway to Canada and back? I don't know.
Looks fine now.
Yeah, it's the second wash. I haven't even pressure washed it yet. This is all just...
Oh, then it came off really good then.
Well, wait till it dries.
Yeah.
Triple clean and Castrol Super Clean. That's been the concoction so far.
You should have drove this up to come get it.
You know, I truly thought about it. If I had taken this truck more than 100 miles since we finished it on a road trip, I probably would, because we just got done doing, it's got brand new tranny and axles and brakes and tires and wheels and everything else, but the motor is still untested on a long pull.
Hey, what could go wrong with taking an old vehicle untested on a long road trip towing a trailer? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I was thinking, but you're clearly more brazen than I am.
Or just stupider. I make poor choices.
Yeah, it's not stupid if it works,
hence my situation yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know how much you want to go into that.
Or we're gonna limit what is said about that for legal reasons until some legal reasons blow over.
You're gonna give it the what's that short version of books that you can read that they have, you know, like the Google for idiots and also like that. Those, they make like a short and condensed, there's a term for it. I can't think of it right now because it's too early in the morning, but
I'm a YouTuber, shorts.
Yeah.
So after getting turned away at the border, I decided to give it the old college try. and get across. And yeah, I'll explain the full story eventually after
Many months of
we work out some legalities that we're trying to figure out at the moment. Let's say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a really long time before you go to Canada again.
Before I'm allowed to, you mean?
No, before you're going to. I wouldn't say anything about being allowed to. I just, you know.
Oh, they did. But once that blows over, game on. Okay, we're loaded up. Everybody say goodbye to Ben. Let's get this car home and then we'll look over it and see all the broke stuff. So we're back home, and if we look in here, probably better to see it from underneath. Right there. Come on, there you go. That is a broken block with a hole underneath it in the oil pan. Not good. Ow, this deck is freaking hot. Okay, if we shut this side. Oops. Now if we go over to this side, oh man, it is continuing to puke its guts out. Well, we know it's full of all its fluids because it won't stop leaking. Right there, that, my friends, is a rod sticking out the side of the oil pan. So, yeah, she's done. That motor is over and finished, never to run again. Now, I have some theories on what happened and why it went bad and blew up when it did, but we'll go over that in a future video when we do the replacement on that and swap a new motor. And now that, I mean, I'm not upset about that. It's unfortunate, yes. Ideally, it'd just run and be fine, but that drivetrain is out of a 94 S10 Blazer with who knows how many miles on it, and if I was driving around a 94 S10 Blazer with who knows how many miles on it, breakdowns are to be expected. It's just something that's going to happen. So that's not anything to get upset about. It'd be nice if it didn't happen, but it did. No big deal. We'll fix it. We'll make it better. We'll move on. And we'll keep driving it. This, on the other hand, this upsets me. This really upsets me. The whole fact that these are back here in my driveway and got denied entry into Canada. Canada, look at me. We were trying to do something good for people, something to help people out, something to help people get their lives back, or be able to live a life they never thought they'd be able to again and enjoy things they never thought they'd be able to do. There is not one single logical or reasonable reason to block this other than just bureaucratic bullshit. So the fact that these are here, that's what upsets me. Blowing up the motor in my car, like I said, we'll fix it, we'll move on. These here, not being able to go do what we plan to do and help people with them, that's not okay. Especially when I got told that if I tried to bring these back into the country, I would be arrested. So I was held and detained and in the custody there of the border agents for 4 hours. Well, they investigated like crazy. All the things they threatened to charge me with, one, well, first off, let's stop. First, the first border agent, they said no, couldn't bring these in because they were medical devices and I didn't have a medical equipment distributor's license in Canada, therefore I could not distribute medical equipment in Canada, even though I pointed out that they are not a wheelchair. So anyway, after 45 minutes or so there, got turned around, sent away, and the words this lady said to me were, if you can get that license or get this figured out, or if you can get that license or get this figured out, you can come back. Cool. So I leave. I had planned on going up one way into Canada, the scenic route, and then I thought, no, we want to get there, let's take the direct route and not go the scenic wind route. But now I'm like, well, let's go home the scenic route at least to get some sort of drive out of it. So I'm going home the scenic route. And I did some checking and some figuring and found out that these are actually considered like e-bikes. And in Canada, the classification they are under, because these do get sold to Canada and shipped to Canada no problem, are an unregulated e-bike class. There's regulated, unregulated. So let me back up again here and say that before I even tried taking these to Canada, I called the customs office to see what needed to be done to bring these into Canada. I explained the entire story of what we were doing, the YouTube, the donating them to the Bruce Cook Foundation, the whole deal, the reason for all of it and everything. And they thought that was a really cool idea and appreciated what we were doing. Told me there were no permits needed because they are unregulated e-bikes. And therefore, the only thing that needed to be done was I needed an invoice for the purchase price of them to show to the border agent and pay a 13% duty on these items. No problem, we can do that. I even had a sponsor line up for this video, Aura, who was going to sponsor this trip, which their sponsorship was going to cover my fuel, hotels, and was going to cover the duties of that. Much appreciate them wanting to help out with this and support. I'm not going to charge them for the sponsorship of this video because I didn't do what I told them I was going to do in the video for their sponsorship, but I will still put their link down below, as I very much appreciate their continued support of this channel and the fact that they want to help people, not just promote their product. Anyway, I was heading back home, and after reaching out to Zach and figuring it all out and going with, and I was going the scenic route of, these are actually e-bikes. They are not medical equipment. Here's all the stuff where they're not medical equipment. Go back and try again. Okay, so now the closest border entry to me, since I'm going the scenic route home, is a different border entry. This is where it went bad. So I pull up to that other border entry point, and they they license plate read as you go in, they log your passport as they scan it, so they knew I had already gone into the other entry and got denied. All that was on there, they knew that before I ever pulled up. So then I just tried to explain to them from scratch of, these are e-bikes we're trying to take up and donate to a nonprofit foundation. We even have all the nonprofit paperwork. And the guy let me explain all that, then tells me pull to the side, detains me there as you saw in the video, takes the registration from my truck, takes all the paperwork for this trailer, which by the way is not registered because I just bought it and don't have registration yet, so no place, no registration, but all the dealer paperwork, everything I should need is fine there. Takes the invoice for these, takes my driver's license and my passport, and I had to sit out there in my truck for about an hour, hour and a half. Then he comes out, step out of the truck, hands behind your back, pat down, interlock your fingers behind your back. He grabs all my fingers and walks me in the building, where I sat for 4 hours being investigated for providing false statements to a providing false statements to a customs agent or whatever it was. That was one crime they threatened me with. The other was bringing a commercial vehicle into Canada without any of the proper permits, seeing as how that truck is registered and insured through the business as a tow truck. The other thing was having an unregistered tow truck in Canada. The other thing was having an unregistered vehicle, bringing an unregistered vehicle into Canada. Then bringing unapproved contraband items, the chairs, into Canada. And finally, crossing an international border without a valid passport. And they then tried to get me for that 3 counts of that, because I had crossed technically into Canada the first time I got denied. Back into the US, that's 2, and now this 3rd time into Canada, that's 3. I have a passport. It's good, but this is also the first time I've used my passport since I renewed it, and I never signed it, therefore it's not valid. I said, well, can you give me a pen and I'll sign it? And the answer was no. So 4 hours of investigation, 4 hours of problems. I'll tell the whole story of what happened at the border and during my detainment and all that at some point eventually, but that is not the important thing now. For now, the important thing is we've got to make this project happen. We've got to figure out how to get these things up to Bruce in Canada. They are perfectly legal in Canada. Oh, that was the other thing. The second border agent, he deemed that these are low-speed electric vehicles, not medical devices. He said the other people were wrong. He is right, they're low-speed electric vehicles, and that is illegal in the state of Canada unless you are Polaris or one other manufacturer. Either way, they were trying to find anything they could to stop this from happening, even though I explained the whole deal of what we were doing and why. So, I am incredibly disappointed in the customs agents of Canada. And the problem was because the car broke down on the Friday that we were supposed to cross the border, it was now the Saturday we were trying to cross the border, so I couldn't call back into customs talked to people I talked to before who approved all this and told me what I needed to do and that I was all legit. So after spending most of the day detained at a border in their little interrogation room, they finally let me go. The US guys coming across the back were super cool, and like I told them what was going on, because they said like, oh, you don't have to tell us, but like what went on there. And so I told them, and they could not believe that this got denied, and they thought that was complete BS and just kind of heartless of people. So I agree, but either way, we're gonna figure this out. To my Patreon supporters, your money is not wasted. We will figure this out. We will either get these to Bruce, if I'm banned from Canada for all this, which I might have been for a few days over the whole deal, but either way, we'll figure it out. We're gonna get these to people who deserve them, people who can use them, change some lives with them, and just help people out, because that's the whole point of this. So thank you guys for supporting this whole project. The end of it here has turned into a complete mess. Just shows I left the lights on the rollback, but we're gonna do good with these. We're either gonna complete the original plan, or we're gonna adapt and come up with a new plan and put these things to good use. Thanks for watching. There'll be more on both the actual border detainment story once I can talk about a little more of that, and there'll also be a whole video on repairing that car. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching. I am sorry I have failed you in what I said I would do here, and I feel incredibly bad about that, and I'm disappointed in both the border agents is how that was handled, and I'm also disappointed in myself for not making it happen. So I am sorry, I apologize. We'll make it work. Oh, dang it. So it's like 102 degrees outside, and the rubber parts are falling off my truck.